And I remember, I think you posted a meme in the 1% Club, which read, we do this not because it is easy, but because we thought it would be easy.
Hey everybody, it's John Lamilton here alongside my good friend and business partner, Mr. Jason Brockman. We are here for another episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast, where as always, it is our job to help you get more customers and make more money without just working harder. So without further ado, let's dive straight into this month's episode.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast. Today we are joined by 1%er Dav Thomas, for whom life revolves around design and creativity, something he's channeled into an innovative tabletop gaming accessories business. Dav, welcome to the ALB podcast, mate.
Hello, glad to be with you.
It's good to have you with us. So, an innovative tabletop gaming's accessory business. That sounds grown up, doesn't it?
Catchy, isn't it, that?
Yeah. What do you actually do?
I'm not entirely sure. So there are a collection of people who love board gaming. So not your sort of computer games, but actual little things you move around on a board and play games with the family or your friends. And it's a huge business. And I make accessories for them. So the main product at the moment is called Stowy, which is a board gaming table that folds up into itself to become a stool. So if you haven't got room for a full-on super duper gaming table that costs $6-7 at least, you can buy a Stowy and put it up in your small flat or take it outside, take it camping. So that's the main product that we are currently making.
Perfect. And we're talking Warhammer, Dungeons and Dragons, that sort of thing, yeah?
Yeah, it encompasses that as well. So that side of things. But also people play solo board games. So there's board games about everything. You know, there's bird spotting.
There's a game about bird spotting.
Unbelievably so. A really massive, popular game about bird spotting. There's ones about brewing coffee. All sorts of these bizarre games that people play. So it's a massive thing. Unbelievably, yeah.
Is the key or the clue in the question there where you said it's solo games?
I think there are people in basements who really see the sun who play on these things, I'm sure. But no, we do some shows and they're lovely people. They're generally lovely. A lot of out there people, all sorts of different people, and they play games. A lot of families as well, obviously play with their kids. So it's a very varied market of people.
Definitely. You'll be interested to know that John and I like playing board games from time to time. We've grown up over the years playing a variety of different games. He usually cheats and
wins is the word you're looking for. I usually win.
Or whoever we're playing with gangs up on me usually. But you know that's
which just is how I win.
I mean, personally, I can't stand them, but you know. My friend who kind of got me into this gives me these games to put onto Story to photograph, and you get them out to set them up. You read the booklet, you're like, this isn't a game. This is homework. I'm really bothered for this. So I
manual.
I play Dungeons and Dragons, but that's it. I've kind of got back to that after last played when I was 15, and sort of ended up playing that again through this stuff, I suppose.
Yeah, I think when you were 15, Dav, that was when Jason and I started our current game of Risk. It's still going. No one's looking like winning anytime soon.
You were only about 5 then, weren't you?
Yeah, I like you, Dav. You can come on again. Cool. Let's go back in time a little bit, Dav. March 2021, I believe, you walked in the doors of the 1% Club and announced to the group that you'd just joined Business Rehab.
Absolutely, yes.
What was going on there? Why did you need to check into Business Rehab? And have we kept you on the straight and narrow since then?
Well, it's a long and, to paraphrase Steve Albini, the great Steve Albini, it's been a long and fucking sad story. But it's, I dug a big hole and then I jumped down it. And I was probably at the point when I joined the 1% Club, I was trying to claw my way out of that big hole. To go through a brief history of me, I started off as I did a degree in product design or industrial design many moons ago. And it wasn't really a degree in industrial design. It was really a degree in drinking watching bands and playing grunge. So that didn't go overly well, but I started a business then with my mate after that, because obviously no one was going to employ me. We were designing concrete speaker stands, which was I don't know, that's just what we decided we were doing. But then my mate Billy, who I was working with, was working part-time at the university, and he got a call in saying, is there anyone there who can design a brochure? And I was, he came home that lunchtime and said, Dav, do you think we could design a brochure? I was like, yes, of course we can design a brochure. We can do anything. We're designers. I was once told by a lecturer at university on one of the sessions I actually went to, that if you ask a designer if they could design a space shuttle, they'll go, yeah, sure I can. How am I going to do that? So anyway, that's when I accidentally became a graphic designer. And that's basically what I did for 20 years, maybe. I worked in various agencies in the 90s. So I met some utterly despicable yuppie bosses, as well as bosses from the 70s who were just drunks. And, it was a crazy time. I had enough of that and then went freelance. So I worked for myself for a long time as a graphic designer, working with my own customers, working for agencies throughout Yorkshire, and I did quite well. And then I decided, no, this is getting boring now. I've had enough of this. I had one idiot client. I was doing a lot of website work, and it was just at that time getting too difficult. You're having to learn a lot of coding and this sort of stuff as well as design. So I've had enough of this. I had one customer that pushed me over the edge. I was like, right. And during all this time, I'd worked making furniture for myself. I built a big workshop in my garden. I was like, right, I've built a couple of camper van interiors for friends and myself. I'm going to give up graphic design and build camper vans interiors. And at that point, someone said to me, no, you were really not going to do that. Keep being a graphic designer. But I was like, no, I'm going to do this. And being the designer that I am, I wasn't just going to do what everyone else was doing, because, camper vans at that time had interiors that wouldn't have looked out of place in a sort of Terry and June sitcom. They looked like, these 70s interiors, and nothing had moved on. I was like, no, I'm going to do them modern, modular. They're going to be space saving. They're going to be the best interiors anyone's ever seen. And I think they were, but the problem was I was doing this on my own. I had a workshop in the garden. I was doing the occasional camper van interior on the driveway at home, but it got to a stage where the neighbours were just gathering around the driveway and booing at me. So I was like, okay, I need a premises. So it grew from there. And I also came up with a fantastic idea of not just building them myself, but taking them to people's houses and fitting them in their camper vans, which was a diabolical idea. I remember one time turning up a customer in Bristol in my wife's Honda Jazz with a full interior in the back of it. And they were just looking at me going like, what's going on here? Who's this idiot? And then after I'd have to go back 2 or 3 times and fit them. And it worked, but it was an absolute disaster. And I got bigger premises, I got more vans in. But the problem was everything was taking just so long to do. It was, I'd think, this will take me 2 weeks, and it would take me 2 months. And because the money wasn't coming in, I was accepting more and more vans in. They were queuing up to come in. I couldn't do them all. I was working every hour of the day, literally. And it was just getting absolutely impossible. I was still trying to make these amazing interiors. I was doing more and more stuff as well. So it wasn't just interiors. There was a guy came in and was like, could you do a spray over on the van there? And I was like, yeah, there's a guy in the yard who can sort that out. And he brought this old VW in, and it was bits were literally falling off it. So I'm doing it. So then I found myself doing body work on this thing. I was like, what am I doing? What the hell am I doing? And yeah, it was getting like this. I was fitting pop top roofs, and it had gone all this on my own. So 5 people should have been doing this, really, not just me. And it was getting worse and worse. And I remember one morning I got up and Trooping the Colour was on the TV. I don't know why. Not big royalists in our house. And I was just sitting there in front of it. I was just crying. I was like faced with another day of having to try and produce this stuff I didn't have time to do. I was just crying. And then there was one time when I messed the job up. Again, it was down in Bristol. I messed it up. I came home, came home from it. I knew I'd messed it up, but hadn't had the guts to tell them or the mental capacity to tell them. And I just had a breakdown. It all went. I went into my wife, who luckily hadn't gone to work at that point, and just collapsed, was in an utter state. And she was like, okay, if you could put some pants on, I'll make you a nice cup of tea. We'll go to the doctors. I was like, okay, yeah, we'll do this. And then thankfully we went to a cafe in the Peak District, and she's like, okay, come on then, tell me how bad it is. And which we went through all the customers I had. I think it was like 13 vans I had to get through. And she's like, right, okay, I'll phone them up. I'll phone these people up, explain to them what's happening. Put some pants on because we are in a cafe in the Peak District, and we'll carry on with this. So yeah, I got through that, and it was still struggling on. And then I think actually it was still bad. I remember one point when my wife, I'd gone up to the unit. I think I'd gone just to clean out the spray booth or something, and my wife actually thought I'd gone to end it all, to be honest, because it was that bad. And I was driving back from the unit, and I saw her coming towards me in that Honda Jazz, and she got out. We both got out the car on the road, and she's like, "I thought you'd gone to end it all. I thought that's actually what you're doing." I was like, "No, I've just been throwing darts and cleaning out the spray booth." But that, that was as dire as it was. And then I think COVID came along and actually saved my life. Literally saved my life, I think, because people couldn't give me, people couldn't even go to co-op, so they certainly couldn't bring their camper vans to me. The ones that I had in, they couldn't get, and no one could pull the line. Oh, I'm going to the Algarve next week, so I need my camper van back. It's like, you're not, you're sitting in your living room. So I had a good few months of I've got some calm. I had a premises, so I got some money from the government, thankfully, to sort things out. And at that point, I was like, I think this has actually saved my life, because I can take a step back here, look at what I'm doing, figure out how to get out of this. I might listen to some of these business books, because maybe some of them have got something to say that doesn't involve getting up at 6 a.m. and going to networking meetings. And like we all say, we read John's book and our life was completely changed. Well, I listened to it on headphones in the unit, and then obviously found the 1% Club and thought, oh, maybe I should join this. Maybe these people might actually help me in some way. So from there on, things opened up, and I went to the pub with my mate when we were allowed to go back to pubs again. This was a time when you could go for like 32 minutes and you couldn't look at anyone. If you went to the toilet, you had to walk in backwards with a hat on and stuff like that. So these strange rules that you had to do. But I was telling my friend Mark about the woes of my life, and he was like, well, why don't you make a folding board gaming table? Because at the time I made these little boxes that fitted in between seats in camper vans that you put your drinks in. He's like, well, just make bigger one of those. So I was like, okay, right, really? And he's like, yeah, they're really big, these board gaming tables. And he showed me some Kickstarters where people had made like, millions of pounds on these campaigns. I was like, okay, I'm interested now. And at that point I designed a bigger table, which we called the Arc. Designed all that, prototyped it and everything. And then we went back to the pub when we were allowed a little bit longer. Didn't have to wear the hat anymore. And Mark was like, yeah, it's great, but I think for the first one, you should maybe make a smaller one. I was like, seriously? So I got in that night and mind sketched Stowy, sort of. So in my hungover state the next morning, I was like, okay, this could work. Prototyped that up, and that's where that came from, really. Managed with the help of Jason's counselling to get out of the unit, get rid of that, move back into my workshop at home, downscaled, and breathe again, really.
I want you to take a breath there, if that's okay, because a few bits to unpick of those early bits, really, where the story that you told is one that I hear quite a lot when people join 1% Club, and that is one of, I found something that I'm good at, I've done it, I started people getting paid for it, I got lots of people to come along. I keep saying yes, and I kept saying yes, and I kept saying yes. And it's, oh, by the way, can you do this? Yes, I can. Don't know how, but I'm going to do it. Can you do this? Yes, I can. Not sure how yet, but I'll put that together as well, because I can do it all. I'm able to find out, and I can do it. And then all of that yeses turns into one massive juggling ball, or plate spinning, however you want to do it. And I've got now so much work, and it's just me. I haven't got time to see any wood for the trees. I'm still saying yes because I haven't worked out how the no bit comes in yet. And then it's like, oh, I've got all these plates I'm now spinning. And it's like, oh, these people are now talking to me about things I haven't done and I need to do, and I haven't done it yet and I can't do it. And, oh, here's my head, and let's pop it into that sand pit over there. And let's hope by not speaking to anyone that everything's just going to magically go away. And loads of people have that, have that exact same thing. Head in the sand, things will happen around me. They don't need me involved in it at all. And yeah, it just becomes one massive big problem then, because the lack of communication means it just escalates the way the things
absolutely
are.
Yes, yeah.
I love the fact that you found COVID, because that did, as you say, save that life, but it also gave you that breathing space, which a lot of people don't get the opportunity to have, especially if they don't find people like us, or they don't find that way. They're kind of just stuck in the do, and actually there is no exit there in terms of trying to get out of that thing. So it's
really.
For you, luckily enough, COVID came along.
It's great. I'm all for a pandemic.
Maybe we didn't say quite like that, but that's and I love the kind of the hat and stuff in the pub, and you come up with the Stowy idea. That's just the magic of creativity, isn't it? And that's what you have there, is that Stowy. But the woes didn't stop with that, I guess, is where I was going to lead you into your next half part of the story, I think.
No, there's plenty of room for more disaster to come along. The Stowy was taking a while to develop, to get all the prototypes made, to have the money to make the prototypes, all that sort of stuff. So I came up with the idea of a starter project, a starter Kickstarter. And I came up with a product called Stacky, which was a collection of trays that stack on top of each other. You can keep your dice in them, or your miniatures, or cards, all this sort of stuff. And I was like, this will be a nice, quick project to get me some money in, get the ball rolling. It'll be fine. And thankfully, I didn't get loads and loads of pledges for it, but I got enough, and people bought more and more of the things on the after sales bit. And I found myself with about, I don't know what it was in the end, maybe 800 of these things to make. I was going to make them all myself. I was like, it's fine. It'll be a month or two. And it took about a year and a half. I was finding, I can see them all, fine. But then what about the ones that went wrong? And what about the fact I've got to sand them all? I've got to finish them all to a high level, and have the storage space for them, all this sort of stuff. And try and do some other work as well along the side as I was doing this, carry on some of the freelance graphic design, and it just dragged on and on. The thing with doing a Kickstarter is they understand this is going to happen. But as you were saying yourself there, Jason, that I'm very much a head in the sand type. So I was like, look, I'm doing it. It's all fine. And people are like, what's he doing? Is he doing anything? Has he run off to Norwich with all the money or something? I don't know what's going on.
Norwich? Why Norwich?
It's got a good
enough money to get him to Saint-Tropez, I should imagine.
Yeah, exactly. It's got a very good vegan curry house near the football ground. So that dragged on, and I also dragged on Stowy because I couldn't launch Stowy until Stacky was pretty much done. So that made things longer and longer. So I wasn't quite at the end it all stage, but it was, I was like, I've got to get this done without working all hours, because I wasn't prepared to work all nighters all the time. So I was doing it and trying to get some of my life back. So that made it drag out. Thankfully it did all get done. It all got fine, but it caused a lot of stress. And it was a big wake up call to the idea that you can't mass produce stuff yourself. It's impossible. You can make one-offs, you can make pretty little boxes or anything else, but if you're trying to turf out 100 of these things in a day, it's just not going to happen.
There's a definite theme here, Dav, isn't there, between what you were told at the beginning, which is that designers will say, yes, I can design a space shuttle.
Yeah.
To you saying, well, how hard can it be to just do custom fittings for camper vans? To, yeah, I can hand carve 800 stackies myself in the garden.
Mm.
And I remember, I think you posted a meme in the 1% Club around about the time it was all going wrong and your head was firmly buried in the sand, which read, we do this not because it is easy, but because we thought it would be easy.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. Well, I never do anything to an adequate standard. I always want to be great at it. So like the camper vans, I could have followed the model of other people, but I'm like, no, these are going to be amazing. And I could have done a board game table that everyone else was doing. And I said, no, I'm going to create something that doesn't exist anymore. And I always seem to have to want to do something a bit better. But I don't think there's any point trying to do it, really. It's just trying to manage the business side. A friend of mine, again in a pub, he's sort of saying, the thing with you is everything you do, you're really good at. You became one of the leading landscape photographers when you did that. You amazing graphic designer and product designer, but you're just shit at business. I was like, yeah, that's true.
I don't necessarily think that's true. And we've known you now for a period of time. I think it's because you've got that ability to be brilliant at everything that you put your hand to. You think that can scale, and and I think that scaling piece is the piece that you're not great at, because actually, the bespoke things that you create aren't scalable in themselves. They're bespoke. The camper vans that you did, brilliant, absolutely innovative, fantastic, excellent finish, absolutely fantastic product at the end of it. But you can't do 10 of those in a week. You can do one of those in a 3-month period. And you
can do it if you've got
charge accordingly.
Yeah. I think if you have the money behind you and maybe 5 people, that camper van business would have worked. But when you're trying to do absolutely everything,
and that's that little piece. It's that scaling piece. It's like, I can create the fantastic stacky. It's going to be brilliant. It's going to be polished brilliantly. I'm going to be able to sell some fantastic numbers and stuff like that. But it's that scaling piece which you can't do on your own. And I think it isn't the business piece that's bad. It's just that understanding that you can't do everything yourself. And I think that's the bit where you've struggled. And in each of those 3 or 4 different areas, it's the piece which I think you've struggled in. And because of that, it's also the margins that you create for yourself aren't for those one-off bespoke pieces that you're doing. It's oh no, it's massive. I can do this for the same price everybody's churning out a normal fit-in sort of thing, for the camper vans, for example. But that's not a business problem. I think you're fantastic at business.
My wife also pointed out recently, she thought I had ADHD. And I said, don't be so stupid. I haven't got that. And I thought about it a bit. And then I was down in Nottingham, in a pub again, waiting for my mate. I was like, I'll just do a little test on the phone here. And I did the test. I was look, there's a kitten over there. Look at that over there. Oh, no, I'm doing a test. And it came back to me like 80% yes. I was like, oh, okay. And I do have that thing. I like when I got the Stowy thing finished, and I was saying to people, I've got some more ideas. I'm doing some accessories for a coffee machine. I'm going to do this. And they're just like, oh, God, what's he doing now? So I think it carries through. I can go from one end of the workshop to the other one and totally forgotten what I was doing halfway across. But, I'll sharpen that plane. It can be a bit like that, which doesn't help, I think, being focused on a business idea.
Definitely. Dav, can I take you back in time a little bit more again? I want to go back, and I'm apologies for picking at the scab here, or whatever the analogy is, but I want to go back to that moment when you kind of broke down with Karen and just said, look, I can't do this anymore. Let's get some help, because COVID came and rescued you. But I'm aware there may be people listening to this now where there isn't a global pandemic, unfortunately, coming.
There'll be one of those soon, don't worry.
Give them a fire, but you never know. Keep wishing. Stop washing your hands. Eat some bats, we'll be fine. But in case there isn't, what is it they call it? Deus ex machina or whatever. There isn't some godlike thing coming to save you. What would you have done if COVID hadn't happened and you just needed to dig yourself out of that hole and create your own fire break and get the support from, whether that's the NHS, whether that's from your wife, your family, your friends, 1% Club, etc. What would you have done other than, Sorry. Step 1, put your pants on. And for the American listeners, that's underpants, by the way. Step 1, put your pants on. Step 2?
Well, I think another one of my problems is that I'm very tenacious. So I'll be like, this is not going to fail. I will get through this. And I think what the sensible thing to do would be to close the business down, completely close it down. The fact that people have paid you their deposits, I think you just have to face up to the fact that a lot of businesses go under. And I wasn't prepared to make people lose their money, which is why I was trying to still do it all. But you've got to get out. You've just absolutely got to get out, because there's no solution. Who is it who said that the thing where you keep constantly doing something is the mark of being an idiot, because it's not going to get any better.
Yeah.
So you've got to somehow get out of it, get out of that mess you're in. And it's a business in the end, I'd lost everything that was me. I didn't play guitar anymore. I didn't go do photography anymore. I wouldn't even, I wouldn't drink, because I was like, I don't want to drink anything. I wouldn't listen to certain music because I'd be like, I don't want to listen to this music because I'll associate it with this bad time. So I don't want to listen to my favorite music anymore. And your life is that. Your life is the things that you love doing. It's not crawling around under T5 camper vans taking fuel tanks out at 5 a.m. It's those things. So it's just your business you're in. You can get out the other side of it. You might, you're going to upset some people, possibly, but somehow you've got to get out of it, really. Stop doing it.
It's a very interesting line you've just used there, Dav. It is just a business. It's not your life. It is just a business.
And you will feel bad that you've let some people down. In the end, I think one person didn't get their camper van done because I just couldn't do it. And I feel bad that I let that person down, but there was no other solution. I had to get out of it because, otherwise we weren't getting out of it alive, And I suppose that the key is the problem that we've heard so many times is you take on business because you haven't got enough money to run your business. So the next person comes along and you're like, oh, great, that's some more money coming in. Great, I'll take that and I can pay the rent next month. But your business isn't working if that's what your business is doing.
Yeah.
So get rid, get shut of it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of businesses as well, because they are working so hand to mouth, that when that next order comes in, that's a little bit of breathing room. Great, I haven't got to worry so much about cash flow. Now I've just got the work backed up, and then we go into the workshop, and suddenly you're not out there winning business. So cash flow's a problem again, and it's like you're that guy on Britain's Got Talent that's juggling chainsaws or whatever.
And, I start these businesses because I love doing them. I loved making the camper van interiors, designing them and everything. I didn't love crawling around with an angle grinder on top of vans fitting roofs or, taking those T6 fuel tanks out. That wasn't fun. There were things I could do that were more fun, where I might actually get paid and go home at 6 o'clock in the evening,
Would that involve saying no?
No,
I can't do the roof. I'm not doing the fuel tank. I'm not doing this. Actually, this is what I can do really well, and this is the bit I can do for you, but I can't do that bit. I'm not going to do that bit.
But I suppose the trouble is, when you are in business, you think if you start saying no to these things, people go, well, I'll go somewhere else then. So you think you have to say, yes, I'll do it.
So do you think saying yes was the right answer, even knowing they may go somewhere else?
You're trying to confuse me now. I'm going to say no. I mean, yes. No. No.
But by saying yes and self-sabotaging in this instance, so for that in that instance, it was an act of self-sabotage by saying yes, wasn't it? I guess.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
And had you have said no and they went somewhere else, then you'd have had a different person come along and you'd have done something else, wouldn't you? I guess.
Yeah. But that's if you knew all this when you started your business, you'd be damned, wouldn't you? I think you tend to start a business with naivety, which kind of makes the business succeed. Because if someone comes along at the start and goes, oh, you don't want to do that, it's going to be a nightmare. You'd be like, no. But you go like, no, it won't. I'll be fine. I can do this. Of course I can ballet dance. But yeah,
I think that's what most business owners, I think, fall into this trap. And it is that, when you first get started, you need that launch velocity. You do say yes to everything. And it's very, very difficult if you have to do that for the first 3 years of your business career, to then suddenly in year 4 flip that and start saying no, and then in year 7 say no to most opportunities and most new things, because your muscle memory is we say yes to everything, even when years later we don't need the money and we don't need the work, but we just and it is automatic. We just go, and Neville Wright famously, of course, told us about this in his book. The answer is yes. Now, what is the question? That he would immediately answer, Neville, can you do? Yes, I can do that. The answer is yes. Now, what was the question? And that works up to a certain point, at which point you do need to know what the question is before you commit to yes, I think.
I also think it's easier to say yes when you're younger. So when you're 30, someone says, can you do this? You're like, yeah, come on, let's do it. But when you get to my ancient age, you're just like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. 20-something-year-old, can you do this? Yeah, of course I can. Not a problem. YouTube.com.
Exactly, yes, yeah. University YouTube, very good.
Yeah, absolutely. So we need to talk about the orange apron, I believe, which has been like Damocles' sword. It's been dangling over you for a couple of years. Can you explain to the listeners why you are taunted and teased by the orange apron?
And my wife still thinks it's a good idea at times. I don't know about. This you're trying to create businesses that people love. They love your work. Everyone's happy. They pay some money. Oh, it's amazing. But a lot of the time, with me particularly, it doesn't end up like that. And there was one guy who was an absolute nightmare through the Kickstarter. He was trying to, in every way he possibly could, destroy me. He's calling me a con man, and I was an evil man, and all this sort of stuff. And you get to the stage where you're just like, I've had enough of this now. All I'm trying to do is make nice stuff for people. I'm not a con man. I'm working all hours. I've not got a yacht in the garden. None of this is happening. I've had enough. I just want a job where I go there, stack some shelves, tell people where the paint is. Maybe on an exciting day, I might cut one of the 8x4 sheets of plywood on the big fancy saw. That's a good day. Go home, have some lasagna. And it seems very appealing. And at the end of the month, they give you enough money to buy those ingredients for that lasagna. And it just seems very appealing. I think I mentioned a couple of times on the 1% Club Facebook page, I've had enough. I just want a normal job. This isn't worth the effort. And then loads of people come on and go, yeah, I feel that as well. Yeah, I've been there. Yeah. But you look at it and you have to go to work every day. It's like, what? No.
Yeah.
I
you
freelance.
have to do things their way.
Yes. Yeah, having worked at those advertising agencies in the 90s, I know what arsehole bosses are like. I really do. I worked before COVID. I worked at an advertising agency for 2-3 days a week, and I was sitting there thinking, these people come in here every day and sit here listening to Steve Wright in the afternoon, designing packaging for sausage rolls or something. It's like, God, is this life? So you kind of you forget all that stuff when you think, I'm just going to go and work in Costco. You forget the fact that if you don't want to work one day, or you want to change what you do one day, you can change what you do. You're your own boss. You can mess it up how you want to mess it up, or you can succeed how you want to succeed. But sometimes it does get like, I've had enough of this now.
Yeah.
Forgetting as well that you're probably unemployable.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll let you say that you wouldn't get past the first interview, would you? Be like, why did you do things this way? That's just a question, isn't it? I find a way you can do this much more efficiently. I think everyone's got that. I know for you, it was the B&Q. For Caroline, it was Dunelm. She had the uniform already because her daughter worked there. And I don't know where it was for me, but I remember there was a point probably 20 years ago now, and it was just a really, really stressful time. It was when we had the offices, And I remember walking back from one of the offices, and it was just, the shit was just really hitting the fan, and everything was on top of me. And it was about 5:30 in the evening. And I just happened to see this chap arrive home from work and walk in his front door and close his front door. And I just went, you lucky bastard. You don't know how good you've got it. You've just shut that door, and you aren't even thinking about work until tomorrow morning when you've got to come out that door again. It's like,
You didn't realise he'd shut the door. He's on the other side crying and hitting the walls.
Exactly, yeah. My boss is an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
But we all have that, and I think, isn't that a part of business rehab, that we just share these stories about, yep, me too. Here's my rock bottom story. Here's my, yes, I want to go and get a day job story.
I think I have actually managed now to delete my my job app on my phone now. I've actually deleted it, so we're okay.
Good. Very good, very good.
That's step 10, I think, on the 12-step plan.
Brilliant.
Nice one. Can we talk a little bit about crowdfunding? Because obviously you've had some success there. And again, there may be people listening to this who have dabbled in crowdfunding with Kickstarter or whoever, or those who are considering it. Are there any sort of 101 building blocks bit of advice that you would give to people regarding Kickstarter or indeed any of the crowdfunding platforms?
Absolutely, yes. Crowdfunders are fantastic marketing platforms. I think they're the best way to launch a product. And there's a big market there. People want to invest in new people, and they take a cut, but it's kind of, you can put your project up there, and they take a cut on it, so it's not expensive to do. I think what a lot of people do, and why a lot of campaigns fail, is because they do just that. They get, well, I've designed something, I'm going to put it on Kickstarter, and everyone's going to flock to it and back it. But no one's going on Kickstarter to look through all the stuff to find what they can back. So if you put it up there, it's like launching a website. Unless you're getting traffic to it, no one cares it's there. So you can't really just do a Kickstarter, stick it on there and hope it works. You've got to have a following before you get there. So you do need to have, Facebook pages, Instagram pages, people who are, YouTube, people got to know the product's there, and you've got to kind of create a buzz. So when you put the product up there, people are like, yes, it's on, let's back it. And the other mistake I think a lot of people do is they just write a load of stuff. So they get their page, they write 16 paragraphs about this product and put a crappy little picture of it at the bottom of the page. And no one's reading that nonsense. No one cares. So, I luckily I come from a background where I was a graphic designer and a photographer, so I kind of had the skills to design a page that looked good. So, I think you got to hit people with some beautiful imagery to begin with, some headlines of what it is. It's like a website. People have got to know what it is and how it's going to benefit them straight away. Otherwise, they're going to be looking at something else. So, yeah, if you don't write paragraphs and stuff, if you're going to stick it at the bottom. So if people are interested by that stage, they're going to read it. But the main thing is you've got to kind of get a buzz before you launch the thing. It's very specific to gaming, but I use a site called GameFound, which is great because you can put your product on there before you launch and leave it up for months if you want to. And people can come and look at it and ask you questions, much better than Kickstarter. And get people looking at the page and get people interested, really, is what I do. But the other problem with these things is that when they started out, they were Kickstarters. Like me, I need to buy certain things to make the product, or pay me for 6 months to develop the product. You're kickstarting my business. But what happens with a lot of companies now is this is a brilliant way to launch products. So we did Gaming Table version 2. We're going to do Gaming Table version 2.4, which is basically the same table with different feet on it or something. And they launch it on there. So these are organized businesses who can do stuff quickly. So when you're little old me launching something and you can't do it quickly, some people are like, well, it's a month down the line, I haven't got my product yet. It's like, well, we're kickstarting, aren't we? It's not Amazon, So it does have that flaw, and the thing I am rubbish at is keeping in touch with people, telling them what's going on. So if you do launch a Kickstarter, keep people up to date, bore them every week if you can with, oh, I've done this week, I've done this, I'm working on your project, it's all great. Rather than my approach, which is, see you later, I'm working on it. You know?
Yeah. That's really interesting because back when you first put Stowy on, I think it was, you were creating that buzz, you wanted to create that buzz, and you found a way to, because we talk about email marketing an awful lot, but you found an innovative way of getting people to pay to join your email marketing list. And
Yes,
that was sensational at the time, I think.
It wasn't, I can't claim this is my idea, but I read a great book, I think it's called Kickstarting, which is an agency that you can go to them and they will run your Kickstarter campaign for you. And he's written a book and he's got loads of great advice. But one thing there was get a mailing list together, but then once they've signed up for the mailing list, have a gold standard mailing list where they pay $1 and they're on that special mailing list. Those people who join are ridiculously more likely to back your product because they're really interested. So I was like, this is ridiculous. No one's going to pay $1 to be on a mailing list. What are you doing? But let's give it a go. And I did. I think we got something like 260 people who joined the gold mailing list. And then the idea is obviously they get a discount when the product's fulfilled from the final product, or they get competitions, extra updates, that sort of stuff. But it's just, and people like being in, I'm in the gold mailing list. You know, people like that thing. I'm a special member of the mailing list.
Yeah, no, I
and again, it's like a tripwire product, isn't it? It's you've got the hierarchy of customers. You've got kind of person who will click on an ad, person who will give you an email address, someone who'll give you an email address and a phone number, someone who'll give you an email address, a phone number, and their home address, and someone who'll get their credit card out and give you any amount of money, even $1 is so much more valuable because they are invested and they have taken a risk that you're going to build that credit card again because you've got their credit card details and it's the internet.
Yes.
I'm old enough to remember when giving your credit card out on the internet was a huge, huge investment that people would not do. And lots of people thought the internet wasn't going to take off because of exactly that. It's the Wild West. No one, your credit card details on the internet is not safe.
My father-in-law's still the same. He won't do it. He won't even order curry online. He's like, no, I'm not going to get my chicken madras if I do that. I'm going to go.
Okay, boys.
I'm going to go in. I'm going to give him cash. And he's going to give me that curry. Yes. But obviously, people are a lot more trusting these days, but possibly badly. That's why we keep getting our credit cards frauded all the time.
Definitely. So, bringing this full circle, then, Dav, are you now a business rehab sponsor, helping the next intake who's crashed through the doors, saying, "I've just been watching Troop in the Colour and it's done me in"?
Well, first I say don't watch Troop in the Colour. It's really boring. I think I've hopefully managed to mess up for everyone else. I've been the guinea pig who's been an absolute disaster, who's nearly gone to the end to prove what you can go wrong with. So maybe I'm quite good at giving advice for what not to do. Whether I'm good at giving advice of what to do, I'm not entirely sure about that yet.
Well, we haven't got to the end of the story because obviously Stowy is there, and that's sold lots of products, hasn't it? So actually, this isn't all about tales of woe. This is actually at the end of this part of the journey, if you like, this success, Steffi.
Well, the strange thing now is that for most of my working life, I've been putting out fires that I've created. Every day is, there was when it was really bad, I wouldn't go to sleep at night because I couldn't face the next day. And you'd wake up in the morning and go, oh no, not again. What have I got to face now? And I actually still have that. I wake up in the morning and go like, oh no, hang on. No, this is all right. It's okay. Still happens to this day, and the difficult thing now is that Stowy has been successful. It's done really well. It's thinking about what's next. What can I do that doesn't sink me again? And the 1% Club's obviously very about lifestyle, and for me, I want my life back. I absolutely want my life back. I want to play guitars. I want to go out in the Peak District. All the things I love doing, So it's trying to form now a business that makes me enough money to be able to do those things, not worry about paying for things every month, but it's something I kind of enjoy doing, really. I think you shouldn't have to go through all this shit and then end up doing a job you don't like. You should actually think, this has worked out okay and I'm enjoying this now, before I get arthritis and can't do it anymore. I'll be like, that's what I'll be like. I'm like, I've done it. Oh, my fingers aren't working anymore. Shit. No.
Without the hard labour of sanding 800 pieces of
yeah, you can very much go off sanding.
Absolutely brilliant you having me on the podcast. Our last question to all our guests is: this is the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast. What does that mean to you?
I think it's, as I just said, it's really having a business that can make products that I'm proud of and people want to have, that I don't have to all make myself if I don't want to. And I want my life back. I've had maybe 8 years of not having that life, and I probably don't want to retire. I don't see myself retiring. I'd like to just carry on making and doing, but I'd like to semi-retire from doing it all the time. So I'd very much like to have some time to go and do photography again in the Peak District, play guitars, make lasagna, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, for me, a lifestyle business is a business that gives you enough money to do those things you want to do. Your business isn't your life. That thing where people say, "Oh, hello, what do you do?" Doesn't matter what they do. I don't care if they work in a shop or it's more about what their life is. And I think that's what your life is. It's you and the things you love doing, not your job.
Amen to that. Fantastic. Thank you, Dav. And on that note, once we've had a lasagna, which I'm looking forward to that at some point, like I got to say, in a walk in the Peak District. Thank you for joining us. If people would like to know more about Stowie, about Stacky, where is the best place for them to go?
Well, the links for most things at the moment go from thefantasywoodworks.com. I haven't got a full website up at the moment because I took a lot of it down, so it would all just direct to the Stowie campaign. But that will keep getting updated, and that takes to the Etsy shop as well. So
that will keep being updated. You're going to keep people updated with what's going on, yeah?
Oh, I see. I get you. I get what you're saying. Yeah. So yeah, that's the place to find out about me.
Perfect. Thank you for joining us, Dav. For listeners, we will see you next month on the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast. Ta-ra.
So there we are, another episode in the can. How was it for you? Please let us know. However you listen to these podcasts, please leave a review on that platform. Let us know what we can do better, what you like, what you don't like, and how we can improve to make this show even better for you. We'll see you next time.